The House of Representatives is back in session this week and plans to vote on the president's $3.5 trillion budget resolution is being held up. That plan by a group of moderate Democrats. The leader of that group, Congressman Josh Gottheimer, joins us this morning with what we can expect this week on Capitol Hill. Congressman Gottheimer is the co-chair of the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus. And I don't know, I shouldn't probably say this, Congressman, but I was reading it and I was like, oh, God, I hope you guys have some intestinal fortitude. But, then I said, nah, it won't last for very long. Can you allay my... I guess I think $3.5 trillion, I'll just be honest, I think that's just a nightmarish scenario to have that come under budget reconciliation for this country. So anything that would stop that, I'd probably say Godspeed. But what should I think?
Well, first, thanks for having me. It's good to see you. Before we get to reconciliation, which is the $3.5 trillion that you're talking about that's been proposed, first, just to give to set the table here, what we're really focused on, our group is getting done the infrastructure package. That was bipartisan, if you remember, passed out of the Senate a few weeks ago. Historic, largest in a century. That's roads, bridges, rail, water infrastructure, broadband, help to fight climate change, electric vehicles and resiliency, get the Gateway Tunnel built. So a very, very strong package that actually came out of the Senate with 50 Democratic votes and 19 Republican votes, so included Bernie Sanders and Mitch McConnell. All we've said as a group is, let's make sure that we vote on that first, that we actually get that vote now in the House of Representatives, which is what we're calling for. And then we can move on to debate, as you're talking about, debate reconciliation and what should be included in there, what should the size and scope be, looking at revenue raisers, making sure things like SALT are in there, which are obviously important to me, other things to help hearing and dental and vision and childcare and universal pre-K. So priorities like that. But some of my colleagues are saying, no, let's actually wait and not vote on infrastructure for months. Let's finish that next package, the $3.5 trillion package. And if we like what we see in that package, then we'll consider voting for infrastructure. And this is a huge win for the country, this physical infrastructure package, as I said. And all we've said is let's vote on that first. Then we can move on to other things. Let's not hold it hostage like some of my colleagues want to do for months on end and even say that they may never vote for it. So that's really what this difference is about. And I'm optimistic we hopefully can work through that and get this all done, the physical infrastructure package done this week.
But you know that it's impossible based on what the moderate members like you are saying and what the far left members are saying. And you're both holding each other hostage. Both groups are holding the other hostage. And both are saying, you're saying we're not doing anything until we do this. The other side is saying we're not going to do that until you do this. And they are diametrically opposed. So right now it's not going to happen if both of you stick to your guns, both sides.
Well, I'm more optimistic than that. I think we'll work it out. When you've got 2 million jobs a year on the line for infrastructure, I'm going to visit with some hardworking men and women of labor this morning, building trades, people who build these roads and bridges and tunnels. And dealing with, in fact, in Jersey, we've got the third worst roads in the country, and a third of our bridges are unsafe. Got that crumbling Gateway, the tunnel that we want to replace with Gateway, which is 113 years old between New York and New Jersey. So I think we'll figure it out because I think everybody recognizes we've got to get infrastructure done.
Congress, let me read this to you. This is Richie Torres. Frankly, if we were to pass a bipartisan bill first, then we lose leverage. It's a recipe for gridlock because I can assure you that members like me have no intention of budging on our position.
Well, I love Richie. He's a great member. So we'll figure it out.
Do you have any intention of budging? Will you go will you budge?
On what? On which part of it?
Will you pass the $3.5 first so that you can get to your infrastructure bill?
No, I don't think we can do that. I mean, we've got to get infrastructure done. And listen, the next package, the reconciliation package, while you're referring to, I think in the end, we're going to have to debate that for months. It's a significant, important investment in the country. There's going to be lots of differences, but that's okay. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to debate these things. All we're saying is, let's get infrastructure done first. Let's make sure we pass that. The votes are there in the House of Representatives. I know we can get that done, and then we'll move on. And frankly, I'm very optimistic we can get there. We've got some differences. That's always what happens right before you get to an agreement. And we've talked about this before. It's always seems toughest before before you get there, and I think everyone recognizes just how important it is that we actually make progress on both things. And I have said,
it just seems like, no, that's okay. I'm sorry for interrupting, but it just seems like when it finally happens, there's a lot of people that will have said things that weren't true, that they weren't planning on. I mean, Speaker Pelosi says she's never going to do it unless you do the $3.5 trillion first. She's eventually going to have to say, okay, never mind. And you're going to have to say, okay, never. Everybody eventually says, okay, never mind. And the public sits out here thinking, what was all that about in the first place? And we understand negotiating and making sausage and all those things, but I mean, making sausage is even worse than we even thought. And if you've ever seen what actually goes on, it's pretty bad, Josh.
Well, I think everyone watching the station appreciates that. And any deal getting done, there's always a lot of back and forth, and then it gets ugly, and then it gets done. And I believe what's most important at the end is that this infrastructure package gets passed.
Okay.
And that's what I'm focused on, right?
Let's say that's
competitiveness. It's key to our economy. It's key to the 2 million jobs. So all I'm just saying is let's get it done. Let's get shovels in the ground and people to work.